But yeah, hopefully I'm gonna not show myself up here. Don't really know how to use Twitch. I mean, I've got basically we're functioning. You can actually hear me, I suppose, so that's good. I don't know how to interact with the chat outside of going onto my phone and doing it. I don't know if I can pull up on the side. Pretty sure Xbox removed the snap feature, so that's not the best. However, I can at least play and you can see me hopefully win games on FIFA. I like to think I'm alright, but we'll see, I suppose. This team pretty good. It's got a legend, an icon as they're called this year. It's got a man of the match.
Hello once again.
But it's not quite my team, which I'm going to show you now. De Gea, Rose, Alderweireld, David Luiz, Kyle Walker, Hazard, De Bruyne, Ozil, Willian, Aguero, Kane. That's solid. That's the highest rated player, I think, in each position. And it's certainly one that is going to be tough, hopefully, for my opponent to beat. Even if they are called Road to Elite. What I do, or I did just there, is tweak my formation a little bit. I don't like playing with wingers, so instead left and right mid to the middle. This essentially gives me more structuring in the centre of the park to prevent the counters that can occur. You've got Willian, who's a fast, technically gifted player in the centre of the park, and he essentially serves as a de facto centre defensive midfielder. This allows me to defend without necessarily dragging someone into a fixed defensive position. Now, I've got someone who's versatile and can join both attack and defence. Similarly, Hazard, instead of being shunted out left, can use his excellent pace, shooting ability. That can all be deployed in the centre of the attack. So you've got a reinforced bulk in the centre, and you've got firepower going forward. And essentially, it's what I use to win. And you can already see Hazard here, and it's nearly a goal. Like, that's what you want to see. I mean, it helps that Hazard is quite a high-rated player, so a lot of the stuff he'll be doing in this game, it's hopefully gonna be more likely to go in than, say, my opponent, Costa aside.
Now Rui Costa. A timely challenge.
I mean, I'm not sure how familiar people viewing this are going to be with soccer or football. Hopefully, be some. It's quite a universal sport, generally played in many locations. I know America, you have your big four of basketball, baseball, hockey, but soccer certainly is played quite a bit among young Americans. And I know the national side hasn't been brilliant of late, but
that is the first goal, and it could be the one that actually shapes the destiny of the day.
Not a best start, but
So the first goal, it's 1-0.
you don't always start with best. The finish that counts.
Kevin De Bruyne. Rose. Could be dangerous. Hazard. Kane. Still a
Nearly
chance in there off the
equaliser
goalkeeper.
there.
Anticipated the direction of the pass and was able to intervene.
I mean, it's not about dominating the play. They may have had the first goal, and they may have had more of the ball in my half than I have in theirs. But what does that mean if I win this game at the end? Which I am going to do, because I'm good. I'm going to turn it around. Believe in myself.
In quickly.
But no, it's people like to say a lot about how they played the game, but really the scoreline is what matters. And if you can have that scoreline at the end in your favour, then who's going to care about your 60% possession and 20 shots? Like, you didn't win. Which is what, hopefully, I'll be doing now. I mean, I know I've not started the best, but certainly it's going to be hard to see this score staying 1-0 in their favour.
Anfield now bigger. The massive stand that was opened in 2016 has increased the
Another thing is,
capacity.
because my team is quite high rated, quite decent players,
Yeah, I mean, this is a stand that
I don't have to play necessarily as well as my opponent. I can essentially rely on the fact that my stats are quite high rated. Like, I know he has Costa, but I've got Aguero and Kane, who are two of the highest shooting strikers in the league. In the game, in fact. Essentially, I've got a better chance of scoring goals in front of goal. And yeah, fine, they're in the lead and we've got an icon, but you look at the players they've got dotted around that icon, and my players have far superior shooting. Like Salah, he's quick, yeah, but what else does he supply? Lallana, decent all-round player, but is he going to finish those chances? Consequently, when I get into the spaces, I ought to be alright. De Bruyne is quite a good player. I have him in my team. So perhaps he's one to look out for, but the rest, like...
Don't get a free kick for that. Good interception.
So this is what I mean by Willian soaking up the pressure. I mean, it didn't come off there, but it was potentially a nice move. And if Aguero had been perhaps a few metres ahead of where he was, it would have been a potentially lethal. It's all about finding positives and building in this game, but not focus on momentary slip-ups, because you do, and you find yourself losing more than you do winning. Of course, it's not all about attacking. Defending is, some would say, more important, because attacking is sort of what the game wants you to be enjoying more, because that's what football's about, scoring goals. Defending, on the other hand, has often been the target of complaints and people getting frustrated with it, because it's quite hard a lot of the time. Which is why it's more important to be focused on making sure your defending is quite good. So naturally, people complain about the quality of the game in defensive portions, but if you can master reading your opponent, if you can not even master, just observe them to a degree that you can stop the majority of their attacks, then you'll be alright. I mean, I know I'm a goal down, but I've not conceded since then, and they've had quite a few attacks. Which means when I go on the attack, I have a good chance of equalising, because I've kept it to a goal. Subsequently, things could be a lot worse, and when I do get my chance, which I will get, this is FIFA now, I mean, that was a bit of a waste. I'm not really sure what game was doing there, but sure, the scoreline says 1-0 down, but I have the opportunity and the chance. I've probably been the better team since they've scored, and in FIFA, you knock on the door opens eventually. So don't think game is anywhere near over. As to how many people are actually watching this, it says 2 at the moment, but that's 2 more than I was expecting. I was expecting no one. So thank you to the 2 of you who are here at the moment.
There's some potential in this move.
Here we go.
There was danger.
Come on, Harry. I'm actually quite a, not as much as I used to be, but I'm quite a big fan of football. Support Fulham, a team in southwest London. The best team, obviously. Just ignore the rating. We're in Championship at the moment. I'd like to say mid-table, but I obviously haven't followed it as avidly this season. But a respectable, formerly top division side. A lot of people's favourite neutral club, simply because of how nice we are. I mean, I'm not one to tie my identity to a club or anything back, because it's only a club. But it's certainly one that I'm glad I support. It's a nice club. Lots of people, no one really hates us like we do with some of the other teams, certainly in English football. In terms of playing it, I wish I was better at actually playing football. I'm quick, but that's about it really. I can't really kick a ball very well. But you know, that aside, I do follow football a fair amount. Probably international football more than club level football of late, but enough to know like who's where. Like I know Man City are currently top of the league by a long way. I know about the game and like who's playing in it. I can tell you about who's in good form between. So here we go. See, I can't quite make the breakthrough. I'm a bit close, but it's all half chances and sort of shots that just aren't going my way.
Back. There's good progress with this attack.
Thing is though, for every minute that goes past where it's only a goal, that's my opponent knowing that I've got a chance. And whilst I'm only a goal behind, I'm one goal away from taking away his lead. And that's something no one wants to see. Certainly if you're leading the team anyway.
Corner swung in. There's still danger here after this
feel the goal coming. I'm trying to say. Not defending like that. There we go. Read him.
Aguero. Able to cut that out with some sharp movement. Kevin De Bruyne. Florenzi. Arturo Vidal. He's on the move all the time and makes lots of these interceptions.
Admittedly, it's a little bit worrying to, you know, be, what, 20 minutes left in the game, no goal scored. But, you know, there is still time. Aguero, oh, I can't get the shot away. He's defending well. Like, I'm in a situation where I've got the ball, but I can't get it into my the target zone you want to be in, the opposing box. A bit of a disappointment, but you know, you can't always expect that in a game as competitive as this. Having said that, I'll be annoyed if I don't have a goal by the end of the game. Isn't going to be helped by attacking as poor as that. 15 minutes left to get a goal.
The move and able to cut out the pass. Okay.
Not with touches like that, Willian. What are you doing?
Lacazette. Quick-witted and quick in his movement too to intercept there. Into the attacking third.
Not looking good.
Blocked emphatically and just as well. The approach play looked very encouraging. Good work, really, to read the intention of the pass.
As I ought to be.
Well, this is
and they're reading my hold-up play as well.
The drama that we're watching here, just a one goal in it in favour of the home team.
Yeah, careful that they don't start
nice, Kane. Right, come on.
Too quickly and that the players feel they've won the game before they actually have.
I see Willian. Knock it in. There we go. You know what I mean? One goal lead, they don't last. And subsequently, we're back in the game. It's 1-1.
Well, I've always been an admirer of good headers, and this was certainly one of those.
Beautiful. And it was Willian who I was praising at the start. Were he to... Yeah, it wouldn't have happened.
Well, they're creating chances for fun out there, and the opposition's
Gladly
really got to tighten up.
Hate that goal.
Away we go at 1-1.
Don't like saying a goal is deserved, because I'm generally, in sport, you deserve what you get. Like, if you didn't perform well enough to win, then you don't deserve to win. But I feel like I played quite well, and I feel like a winner could be on the cards who play this right. Like we are doing now. Into the middle, Hazard. Give it to him. Oh, right, a corner. Got a chance.
At this late stage of the game.
Kobe, knock it. Ah. I mean, just as equally as I could get a winner, they could pull a goal back. Got the players to do so. especially when you defend like that, flipping it. No.
They stopped him in the nick of time.
Yeah, wide. Gonna go. Oh, get up. Who is that? Hazard on the floor.
Lacazette.
That is still time for a late winner. Here he is, Harry Kane. Oh, what the...
Mohamed Salah trying to catch the other team.
No, what am I doing?
Oh.
Catch it!
He's reached up and turned it over. Well, an important corner now. Let's see what they can do.
Bloody hell.
Short corner designed to move the opposition around in the middle. Trying to pick out.
Get back! No! Jesus. Piss it away. Right. Right. Okay. You know, I'll take a draw. I'll take a draw. 1-1. That's fine.
The teams are level here. Well, when you look at the shots on goal, you would think
it could be a lot worse. No, it's not a win, but it's not a defeat. I'm unbeaten in this. That is better than nothing.
They weren't clinical out there. Shooting practice Monday morning.
You know, it took a late equaliser, and we nearly lost it at the end there. But I'll take it. It's an unbeaten result. And considering, you know, I was speaking the whole sort of way, normally I wouldn't be like yelling to myself. I'm impressed. Anyway, just take a second to check the. Is there a chat? Oh, there is. Just checking of the Reed's chat, and someone else suggests getting Van Aanholt. Well, I'll not be getting Van Aanholt whatsoever. Just not gonna happen, is it? He's not a very good player. Anyway, 1 game down, 1 point. That's better than nothing. You know, I think it's worth saying that Division 5 is halfway between sort of the two, the peak and the trough of online Ultimate Team FIFA. So naturally, that puts me at about average, which means that I'm playing the average of FIFA, and a draw suggests that, you know, I'm around that mark, and that's all right. That's above half. Most players are not as good as me, technically. I mean, when you want to look at it one way, then that is the way you can look at it. That person has not got the best latency, so I don't think I'll be playing them. I can't stand low frame rates. It's just shocking. I feel sorry for people in like middle of nowhere in America. Like, you look at all the states, like I think Wyoming is one, or North Dakota, where there's just nothing for ages. It's just getting no internet connection at all. And you know, no one's like gonna care. And I suppose that's one of the many flaws of capitalism, where if you just don't live somewhere where there's profits to be made, you're just going to be sort of left out to dry. Because, you know, a company is going to be thinking, oh, why am I going to bother spending our money on this service for people who, you know, aren't that willing to, aren't going to provide us with the funds we get elsewhere. Just one of millions of reasons to scrap capitalism. So once again, move our players into the middle, move Willian into the CDM role, Hazard at cam, and you find that there's fewer attacks to be sort of dealt with through the middle. Certainly not as risky.
David De Gea starts in goal. David Luiz plays with Toby Alderweireld as the centre-backs. Mesut Ozil plays with Kevin De Bruyne.
I noticed that joined Ultimate Team in 2009, which is usually a sign that they're quite experienced, given it's nearly a decade on from then. And I'm pretty sure 2009 was the first year FIFA was or had Ultimate Team. So I'm expecting a pretty solid game. Especially as they're already through. And already...
It's come to him so early in the game, they reacted.
Not a great start, but as we saw last game, I came back from a goal down.
He took the chance with
so
wasn't an easy one
don't knock it.
Martin, but he made it look so.
opened the scoring 1-0 here. Now William.
I think in general football just
Özil.
quite a good sport. It's, you know,
Rose.
quite universal, but there are problems with it. I mean, ref, that is clearly
Carvajal.
accessible sport. A ball, a field, a goal, all you really need. But then you look at the real life translation, it doesn't reflect this. Like, you see a lot of people being unable to sort of take part in football, or just, you know, the sport that they would, of the way the world is. Profits run society, because capitalism has made a society in which if you don't have the means to, you know, pay your way into society, you don't get anywhere really to enjoy yourself beyond like basic survival, and if that, to be honest. So subsequently you see all these like kids who would be sort of perfect for just playing sport and enjoying themselves being restricted from doing so. Like, if they're lucky, they'll have like a bit of space in their school, and even then it might be concrete playground, like and maybe like a fence for a goal. William, 1-0. Lots of people, they don't even imagine how many people are in it. That's not going to be like sufficient for playing football. There's no proper facilities, no sort of means to get anywhere in the sport. And then beyond like the age of sort of like 16, you know, they're going to be having to sort of find employment of some sort, or studying. There's not going to be any time for just indulging in leisure, because, you know, if you're not selling your labour and you're not wealthy, then you're not going to be in a position to do sport. Actually, lots of people end up getting priced out of the sport because, you know, it costs these facilities, or it's just the fields or playing area. And that's not on really, because football is a sport for the working class, for the people. Yeah! Yeah, what I was saying, football is a sport for the people, yet increasingly, if you aren't a certain type of person, you can't gain access to basic sporting facilities. And it's pretty disgusting. And the problems go deeper than just, you know, people can't get a kick around. There's the fact that, like, you look at sort of quality football, been cordoned off to those with a lot more funds than others. Like, you look at how much it costs to go and watch a Premier League game now, and it's like pounds in some cases. Maybe if you're lucky, £30. And that is a lot of money to be shelling out on a 90-minute match where, you know, you're not even guaranteed a quality performance or anything really. It's like you're essentially paying to get in. There's no guarantee of anything decent happening. And people can't afford this in today's, you know, ruthless capitalist society. People can't afford to be spending that much on watching their teams, which is why, despite lots of people really loving football, attendance in many stadiums and many like high-profile teams is quite low, considering like the amount spent. Like, you look at teams like Manchester United and Arsenal and Man City. They have stadia that 50,000 in City's case, 70,000 plus for both Arsenal and United, and that's like, I mean, you look at the actual attendance and it's often 10-20,000 below their full capacity. And if the demand is there, then why isn't the stadium full every time? And the answer is simply that people can't afford to go. It's not a lack of support, as some people might, you know, mock the club with. It's because their fans, you know, they're working people, you can't afford to be spending obscene amounts of, you know, their money, which you don't have much of to begin with, on a leisure venture out to a sporting trip. You know, it's too much to spend on that. Let alone see them every week. Some people can't afford to see them at all. This despite these clubs, you know, having billions to spend. There's just no means of people ever sort of getting the way into like the sport beyond like finding out the score the next day. And, you know, that's not, for anyone who knows what sport is about, that's not going to cut it. You know, you want to watch your team in the moment and enjoy the thrills of supporting a football team. But you can't do that because, you know, you've not got the money. and it's disgraceful. Especially then when you consider the amount of wealth that just sits like at the top of any part of society really, but in football in particular. The most expensive player this transfer window was Neymar. He was sold for, I believe, £200 million. Might have been euros, but still an obscene, absurd amount of money to spend on anything, let alone a person. Meanwhile, you know, the average person can't take their kids to go and watch a football game because how are they going to pay their bills or, you know, pay their like other more important parts of life. And that's a massive part of you know, people's upbringing, supporting a team, getting involved in sport, having active fun, sort of taken away from them. You look at shirt sales. A shirt for some football teams can cost like nearly £100, which is, again, it's a bit of cloth. It certainly didn't cost that much to make it, and you look at the people who do make it, and you can almost guarantee they're not going to see that £100 at all. Yet somehow, you know, a full stadium full of shirts can make up to like millions. And you know, rake it all in for the owner and the players. Like, you look at what players are paid these days, it's ridiculous amounts of money. And where's it all going? Oh, lovely goal, Kane. Yeah, where's it all going? It's certainly not going to yeah, back into the game. It's just going into inflated, absurd, you know, footballers, and even worse, the owners, who, you know, despite essentially just owning the club, doing nothing, get a massive stake in the decisions of the entire club. You look at people like Roman Abramovich. Like, what does he know about Chelsea compared to the average fan? He's, you know, maybe been going to the games for 20 years, compared to people who sort of attend the game and make it possible for the club to be a club. Yet Abramovich is a person with 100% essentially of the say at the club because he is a wealthy person who happens to have his name on the club. And the more you think about it, the more you see that capitalism really acts as a corruption and sort of decaying element in the game. Like, more and more you're seeing football fall foul of, you know, international law, of basic corruption, because of the need to make more profit, because of the sort of, you know, unwritten rule, but money talks. And if you have a profit incentive, it's always going to be the case. Like, why is World Cup, for instance, being held in Russia with its human rights abuse and general sort of murky stance in a lot of nations' eyes and a lot of people's eyes, with its sort of poor ranking of democracy and abysmal treatment of LGBT plus people, and simply money talks. Why is it being held in Qatar, essentially just a place in the desert with, you know, it's too hot to play football there. It's built, the cities are built with like shipped in de facto slave labour. I mean, yeah, fine, they're paid like pennies, but they haven't leave and they have next to no workers' rights. So yeah, like, they're slaves in all but name. Don't call them slaves if you want, but you're only helping the people who are employing them. You know, all these atrocities going on in Qatar, and what's going to stop the World Cup from being held there? Nothing, because, you know, FIFA executives know that money talks. They'll do what they want, what the Qatari officials want, because oil money is going to dictate over morals. And that's always going to be the case with anything, be it sport or, like, you know, arts, literature, video games, politics, anything. Money is always going to be the overriding factor. So a place like Qatar, with so many clear flaws on like basic morality and basic decency, can easily be selected as World Cup host, despite much better alternatives being readily available. And, you know, that's quite like reflective of just society as a whole, that money corrupts, and capitalism itself, not money perhaps, but capitalism just is a corrupted, you know, dreadful system, because without it you wouldn't be seeing a World Cup being held in such barbaric, awful countries.
Onto the attack now.
And it's certainly upsetting. Like, you see, I'm quite obvious, I mean, hopefully you know that I'm quite left-wing, but the World Cup is something that I love. It's the best sporting event in the world, in my opinion. I do enjoy really like seeing all the teams compete for the trophy. But then, if I want to watch it, if I want to find out about it, I have to, support this game that's being held in a cup built on essentially slave labour. I have to support corporations who happily let their workforce suffer and rot, whilst they get to rake in the millions made off their labour. We've got to support the unethical, terrible practices of capitalism and football. And there's nothing I can do about it. It's not like I can just say, right, no, we're having a different World Cup that's unexploitative, because what's gonna come of that? Like, who am I next to FIFA and their billions? And it's a problem that really besieges a lot of capitalism. You just see people told, oh well, if you don't like it, then just do your own one. And the people saying that know full well there's obviously no opportunity for them to do their own one.
It's his third goal.
It's people don't have the money unless you're a billionaire, in which case you benefit from unethical labour exploitation and the other practices of capitalism anyway. Hence, people like even the most charitable sort of billionaires like Bill Gates and such, they're not going to advocate for anti-capitalism because they're still comfortably off. They still have a comfortable, deep, very well-off lifestyle. So they're obviously not going to be renouncing capitalism anytime soon. And most billionaires aren't like that. For every Bill Gates, there's hundreds who see just opportunities to make profit. It's why capitalism is still, such a misery, because people aren't benevolent. People produced by capitalism, they're not going to be in any sort of mindset to give up their power. That's not how life works. So just relying on the system itself, with oh, don't do this because it's bad. That's not going to happen whilst you have capitalism. What a fluky. So perhaps to draw the sort of long-winded point across to a close, if you want to fix football, you've got to end capitalism. You want to end the corruption that's rife in and in football in general, and the system that makes people want to do things for more money. You've got to end the system of that, which is ending capitalism. But when you start saying things like that, when you start giving people they get uncomfortable. They say, oh, well, it's not going to work. And that kind of defeatist attitude only helps those benefiting from the corruption. If you're saying, oh, change is impossible, then you don't benefit anyone but the people who are benefiting from the problem, namely the corruptors, the bribers, and the wealthy who have built their wealth of others. A world in which football isn't some ridiculous stunt sport where people earn thousands a second basically for doing their ball around. And people who made it all possible are dead basically because a brutality case in Qatar. That's just horrific. It pains me to see a sport I love hurt by capitalism, hurt by which does not care as long as it makes profit.
And he gives it back to it.
You look at South Africa and Brazil, the way their governments and countries were treated, and the way that was passed on to the working class people, who essentially were the real losers of those two World Cups. You see entire sort of chunks of nations' wealth being used to finance stadia that people won't even get to be inside, let alone use. You see entire sort of programs dedicated to these, entertainment for the rich, while the poor who built the stadiums don't even get to see any of the produce. That's not fair. The nation should be able to celebrate and enjoy its sport, not watch from the sidelines as the rich get to enjoy the fruits of the working class's labour. It's just gross to see a sport be turned into something so negative. And with that, I've got another win. I've got a win, in fact. 4 points and 2. Let me just check the chat. Not happening, charge reds. Game number 3. Dry. 3. 3. I'm actually going to use my second team for this game to rest my main team, because sadly fitness is still a thing in a game. It's a bit annoying. You'd think once you buy the card you just own it, but apparently not. Apparently not. Again, it's a good team, high rated, solid, generally quite an all-round unit. I think the only real difference is slightly lower ratings but more pace. Salah, all players with, certainly most of them have 80 plus pace, and the ones who don't are near enough to that to basically feel like 80 plus pace. So you sacrifice a little bit of the quality, but you get more speed, and who doesn't love speed? This is a nice team we've got here. You've got a nice bit of Brazil. Missing some of the more quality players, and I don't see Neymar, I don't see Jesus, but what can you do? Yeah, as per usual, do the formation change. Salah at CDM position simply because I want Pogba and Eriksen a bit further forward because they're more technical than Salah. And Salah can just run.
We're off and running.
So,
Able to cut that out with
what was that?
sharp movement. This is the lineup for the home side. Neto starts in goal. Marcelo starts.
Anyway, 2 wins, 2 games played, 4 points, which is, that's not too bad. In fact, you would probably say that's pretty good because you've not lost and you're picking up points. Considering I need 16 points to get promoted from this division, and I've got 4 in 2 games, that average points per game would see me promoted. So I'll take that.
And here's the shot. He's made the save.
Woke up to news of Donald Trump making another tweet, and that's not something unheard of. And then you read the sort of content of the tweet, and found myself a bit shocked. He essentially attacked Kim Jong-un for nuclear weapons, I believe. But essentially alluded to nuclear warfare and nuclear arsenals with his talk of essentially having a bigger load, which sounds a little bit suggestive, and to be quite frank, you wouldn't be surprised if that turned out to be the case. But it raises a wider point of the sort of value and credibility of the current system of democracy and of political order that we have. Namely, is it fair for one individual to have more power than everyone else? And the answer should be a resounding no. I mean, you can talk about practicality if you want. People like to say, oh, how is anyone going to make decisions in an equal society? How is anyone going to know what to do? And we can go into that another time. Obviously you're wrong, but that's the subject for another discussion. But just look at the sole individual who is in charge at the moment, and you have to wonder, what does it say of the system that this clearly incompetent buffoon is in charge of the most powerful nation in the world? That's ridiculous. How is this person even close to political power, let alone president? And it once again shows that capitalism is a system that allows the wealthy to do as they wish. There aren't real consequence or threat of danger. Trump, who has no political literacy, has no real coherent world around him, has this disposition and power to make empty threats and obscene remarks to other leaders of the world, threatening peace and threatening people's lives. I mean, if you're talking about firing nuclear weapons at a nation, that's gonna kill some people, and it doesn't matter if they're North Korean or not. Yeah, fine, this is a barbaric, awful regime, but what does that mean? That's still people dead if you fire these weapons. And he talks about it as though it's just, you know, some jovial part of life. He's like boasting about, yeah, we've got more bombs. Like, pretty morbid. And most people probably wouldn't be speaking of that, but Trump would, because, you know, Trump has clearly not thought through a lot of what he's saying. But that again highlights the flaws in the system. You've got one person with more power than everyone else, able to do as they wish, no matter sort of what the whims of everyone else is. I don't think most people want Trump to be doing this, but, you know, who's going to stop him? He's president. And, you know, apparently order means justification in this society. That is the flukiest penalty I've received.
He's just telling off the culprit, explaining to him why he's given the penalty, but no sign of a card here.
Yeah, one or two of the opposition.
But coming back to the point of Trump, you know, a fair system, everyone's decision and everyone's voice should matter. And you just look at today's society, and that's not the case at all. Anyway, I'm putting this penalty far left because I am far left. Leighton is going to smack it top corner.
Great penalty.
Not quite top corner, but Leighton Baines, he rarely misses.
With the penalty.
The way he walked up to it, you could just see he was going to score. So confident.
So the first goal, it's 1-0. Attacking well here. Raphael. The goal. And that will be the referee corner here. Thiago. Simple save for Thibaut Courtois.
I mean, to be honest, you look at a country like America and it just serves as the perfect example of why capitalism is just garbage. Like, millions of people in poverty, thousands homeless, just decaying infrastructure, whole cities without water that's clean, terrible education system, terrible transportation system, decaying environment, abysmal wealth equality, just everything is wrong with the country. And then, you know, what is the wealth of the nation? Massive. It owns so much. It's got so much wealth, and its people are living these like miserable lives. What does that say about the system? It says that a system that distributes based on, you know, profit and capitalist views of value, that's problematic. That's essentially legalised theft. You're taking people's labour and profiting off it. You're taking what they work for and just stealing it for yourself. But, you know, that's in the law, so it's justified. And you look at where America gets sweatshops from the third world, mines in Africa, you know, just places where they have the legal right to treat their workforces like, you know, crap. TNC's essentially able to get away with, like, things we wouldn't even dream of in the West. Well, for the most part, and they still can get away with some stuff. But, you know, treating their workforces abysmally and making exceedingly increasing amounts of profit off it, and then translating that, you know, success in the West. But then it's even there, it's success for the 1%, the wealthy capitalist class, while the working class don't see any of the rewards. I mean, yeah, you can say, oh yeah, they get phones, but phones they can't really use because, you know, they're working. You look at how much depression and, like, you know, anxiety and just general unhappiness has soared in the West. And it is a factor of the capitalist system we produce, where if you don't work, you die. I mean, yeah, you can say, oh yeah, there's state benefits, but they're not exactly much. They're barely enough to live off, and they're being decreased all the time. In my country, the UK, the minimum wage is below the living wage. That's disgraceful. That means you can't live. You can't live above the poverty line, I think. If you're on the minimum wage, you have to sacrifice, you know, eating proper meals to get by. That's a situation that's faced in wealthy nations like the UK and the US. And it's disgraceful. And anyone who is defending capitalism has to come up with a reason for why this is happening. And obviously people, you know, they say, oh, well, you just got rid of the state. And sort of being like their, like, hellish version of, like, McDonald's land, where, like, McDonald's, Nike, Apple sort of just became your government because, you know, they own everything. And I tend to just ignore them because it's like just an absurd theory. But just focusing on capitalism, it's just like, it baffles the mind that people can think this is an okay way to run a society. Because It just really isn't. We shouldn't be, in 2018, in a supposed age of information and knowledge, we shouldn't be facing a situation where people starve in realms in the world, where food is binned because they'd rather it go to waste than give it away for free. Where 1% can own essentially the entire country, simply because they have the money to pay for it, when the rest don't even have a home that they own, or, you know, basic food. The amount of people who miss meals to afford their bills is ridiculous. Like, imagine missing a meal of your day, and it's a reality for, that's something that is going to obviously have a massive effect on your health. Healthcare, that's another thing. People don't go to the hospital if they're, like, you know, ill or unwell or broken a limb. I know someone who didn't go to a hospital when they broke their arm because they knew it would cost them more than they could afford. So they just essentially made sling, and, you know, that probably wasn't the worst thing that's ever happened to someone in terms of, like, injuries, but you can imagine that was pretty uncomfortable and pretty distressing a thing to happen, to avoid medical, like, professionalism, because you'll be priced out. There's people who have ambulances called on them and then find they can't even pay for the ambulance and took them to the hospital because they're broke. And so the situation ends up getting worse than if they just let the injury or illness wade out itself. It's disgraceful what goes on in America. And it's even more disgraceful. People defend this as somehow some free, you know, capitalist nation of, like, virtue and value, when in reality it's a miserable, like, even neoliberal capitalism could be described as the early form of fascism, to be honest, because, you know, it's authoritarian capitalism and ultranationalism. It's a terrible, terrible country. On the topic of healthcare, just the amount of people who die needlessly because they couldn't afford to pay their healthcare is obscene. The number of people who have no tools to get by because of their absurd healthcare situation is ridiculous. There's people who die in conditions you're so, oh, flipping it, that was silly.
Keeper couldn't get down quickly enough to deal with such a.
Do you know what ranting about capitalism does?
Well, this is when it's tough more on it, and it would have been a very fine save, agging the ball out of the net. Yeah, he sets high standards, this lad, and I think he's just dropped below those.
People in America, like, they delay the release of antibiotics because they know it makes more profit time. People are buying a specific type of drug. That is something that sounds like a plot from a, you know, a cartoon. Like the evil McBeevil, like, plots to kill off people and make you pay for your medicine. But, you know, it's stuff that actually happens in America because place next to another zero by your stocks, another profit boost. And then when you tell people about this, they say, oh, that's not happening, it's against the law, or that's not happening, that's just unheard of, or oh, it's a rare case. And they don't understand. They don't want to, like, sort of accept that their nation is terrible. Because, you know, people have, because of the sort of culture of nationalism in America, people have attached their entire identity to being American. And subsequently, when people say, oh, America is not a very good country, they feel offended. They feel, oh, you know, you're attacking me personally, instead of thinking, oh, well, actually, yeah, I think America has got some problems. It's why, like, when you criticise the US Army, lots of people take real offence to it, despite the fact that there's a lot of just criticisms behind criticising the Army. Like, you'll see some veterans say, oh, you're having a go at me, I've served our country, I've fought for our people. And yeah, fine, you stood on a front line somewhere, or you did something in Afghanistan, but consider what the US Army means to people around the world. Consider the countless people who have been massacred to further the, you know, American cause, to further American profits, basically. You look at the various war crimes in the Middle East, in South America, in Southeast Asia, and it's a disgrace. It's just, you know, if any other, if a person was to do this, if a regime did this years ago, you consider them one of the worst in human history. But no, it's America, and America had the money, so, you know, it's just the American way. It's why people can look at, say, Chile and say, oh, well, you know, the Pinochet regime was good, even though it, was anti-democratic, barbaric, a breach of human rights, and perhaps one of many examples of the US supporting fascism in order to make profits. Even, you look at the Nazis. People talk about how America stopped the Nazis and how America, is the hero of the world. And yeah, it's true. A lot of plenty of Americans did a lot of good in the war. But also, American corporations had a lot of, sympathy and fondness of Hitler. Flipping out. Because Hitler's economic policies, his pro-capitalist right-wing policies, were good for companies. Henry Ford was a famous advocate of Adolf Hitler. And, that's something you don't see said a lot, because Ford is considered one of the big pioneers of industry. But it's true, Ford and many others like him were big supporters of Adolf Hitler. Because, fascists are capitalists. And subsequently, when you suppress your workers, you can make more profit. That's why lots of corporations in Germany also supported Hitler, because it turns out demonising unions and destroying the working class, basically, and worker solidarity, is good for business. But no, America, it's a terrible nation. It's very right-wing. It's, proto-fascist, increasingly, with the Trump regime. And the sooner we realise this, the sooner we can problems that we have there. The sooner we ditch this sort of, I've done nothing wrong, America's fine sort of attitude, the sooner we can actually start making progress. I think it's important for people to sort of realise that the world is not some, basically perfect place with a few bad eggs, but a deeply broken place for a lot of people.
Crosses long towards the back post. Well, they're in a good position here. Just read the intentions of the opposition there to make the interception.
And amongst all this, I'm on the verge of winning my second game.
Douglas Costa.
Or second win, third game.
But makes lots of these interceptions. Lacazette. Coming on strong and looking to play their way through now. Lukaku!
Oh, nearly.
Well, they've got a corner.
One more goal to finish it off.
Corner, far too near the goalkeeper.
Nice, right. 3 wins. Three games, 2 wins even. Right, back in the 7 minutes, get a drink of water. Right, okay. Let's check the chat. Hello, Mini Marco 123, and thank you for watching, Atlas. I don't know if it has been fun. I mean, I can't imagine enjoying this. But if it has, and you genuinely mean that, then I very much appreciate that, Atlas. We're going to go back to using my main team, because they're obviously better. I think that's another thing to talk about, actually, the lack of homegrown players in the game, in football, certainly in the Premier League anyway. You'll look at my starting lineup and you'll notice Rose, Walker and Kane all come from England, despite this being the English Premier League. And then on the bench, Nathaniel Klein and Leighton Baines. That's 5 out of 23 players in my squad, being from the nation that the league is from. And then you look at, say, the German league, Bundesliga, or La Liga, or Liga, and the rate of German or Spanish or French players in German, Spanish and French leagues is far higher. And, people like to say, the immigrants, the foreigners, they're coming over here, it's their fault. But no, that's not the case at all. That's not what I'm saying anyway. I'm not saying the foreigners are a problem at all. What we are saying, what I am saying certainly, is that people need to look at a system that is not producing players of quality in our own country. I mean, we're a country of 65 million people, which should be capable of certainly producing players who are good enough to start for their teams. And you look at top English players like playing for the top teams, and outside of England there are none. And in England there's what? Kane, Danny Dele Alli, Adam Lallana maybe when he starts. At Chelsea there's Cahill, but would you call him top? Would you even call him better than what? Christensen, Rudiger, Azpilicueta, probably all better than him. Arsenal, like, no chance. Theo Walcott, Jack Wilshere, I'll give you, is quite good, but he's not playing enough, and certainly he's not reached the level he was like supposed to from the amount that was spoken of him. I do like Danny Welbeck, but is he world class? Like, you're not going to call him world class, are you? Manchester United, Rashford, just, a lot of hype, but what's he really done? Lingard, not the best player. Ashley Young, past it. Is he really all that? The English players that are at the top teams are not world class. And then you look at the equivalent in Spain. Sergio Ramos, he's a top player. Isco, top player. At Barcelona, Sergio Roberto. Iniesta, still one of the best players, probably in his position in the world. You look at Bayern Munich, Boateng, Neuer, Müller. Who else is there? Kimmich. Like, these players are probably they're playing for a top team in their own nation. A lot of them starting out in their own nation because they're top players raised through the system. And I think the point is that we have to really look at a system that fails to produce talent locally. And I think there's a lot of reasons. The influx of money, again, because the cap made it easier to just buy in a foreign player than raise up more in spending in coaches and facilities and stuff. So naturally, people want to just get quick cash for their investment instead of put the hard work in. Flipping out. And obviously, that's going to give you short-term success, but long-term success, it won't. And it won't give you, it won't invest back into the communities the clubs are supposed to be sort of founded with the integrity of doing. It's not, you don't see people from the local area representing their club anymore. It's very much like people just shipped in from all over the place. And there wouldn't be a problem with that per se, but it just gets a bit embarrassing, really, that
we can see it again, which of course the officials can't. No, they get one chance, and he's done well with his chance. He's made the correct call.
People can claim that clubs represent the area they're from, when in actuality they don't at all. Beautiful goal, has it?
Both sides really attacking better than they're defending.
Like, you don't see someone from the region of Chelsea getting into Chelsea's team because there's not going to be the chance for it, and it's better for the club, better for the owner to just invest in the player who's good at the time than invest long term in their academies. Why invest in your local area when you can just spend more and spend less on a player from abroad? Subsequently, English players become harder to find, so there's less quality English players, pushing their price up more and thus making them more of a hassle getting. So you see, maybe players who aren't worth anywhere near what they're paid for going for quite a lot, and they're not being used at their respective clubs, used to just fill a quota. Famously, Scott Sinclair at Manchester City. English player, decent but not brilliant, had a good season, moved to Man City, and then look at him now, he's like at Celtic. I mean, I do like Celtic, a decent team, but that's a lot below Man City. But we can go over examples over and over again. Wilfred Zaha, good player, but is he the level of a top team like United? No, you wouldn't say so. But at the same time, United got him ahead of maybe an academy player, and it didn't work out.
Keeper might be needed again. He didn't hang on to the ball.
I feel like I'm sort of rambling a little bit with this thread, but certainly we need to look at a system which doesn't put anything back into the system.
It's a good ball. They saw the goal and went for it.
Oh, what a goal carry!
A good goal, and now they're a goal to the good. Just looking at that deflection, of course, defenders do get attracted to the ball.
Ultimately,
Might have
it
been
costs
better just
more
letting it go.
Yeah, there's an argument to say that. I think the goalkeeper
to
behind him
invest long-term
actually
in
getting that point
grassroots
across
football
now.
and make
Felipe Luis.
you know, an entire system of quality and high-level coaching
Hey, trying to slip it through.
than it does
Equaliser here.
to bring in
Wonderful
someone
save.
good in the moment.
It will be a corner.
And as costs matter more than like quality,
Goes the corner.
value,
Shot off now. Oh, that would have looked
Player
great
value?
if it had
More
flown
than,
in, but in the end, it
sort of
didn't fly
integrity.
very close at all.
No, he looked a bit embarrassed
the
after that
you know,
effort.
count. As always in capitalism.
Kane.
There's a dangerous feel to this attack. It's looking good from their point of view.
Offside given
I mean,
here, Sergio Aguero.
I don't even really think you need to go into the
Here's Casemiro.
real world of football to see how capitalism is bad. You can just look at FIFA. And I can talk for ages about how poor FIFA is
Superb from the
as a model of a game. I mean, for one, the servers have been, I mean, I mentioned it early on in this stream, in fact, just when the servers are importing such a large game,
Isco.
the state they're in is just abysmal for too many people. It's been the case for years. There's people who can't connect to games because their internet is too slow to handle the frame rate. People who can only ever sort of manage one game before they get like sick of playing with like 2 frames a second. EA don't have the money. They're a multi-billion TNC. They own so many sports franchises and so much content that they clearly have enough. They've got enough rights to, you know, a whole decade of Star Wars games. So they've clearly got enough to fix something as simple as decent, you know, internet connections and decent servers. But no, every year people have the same complaints about the game. And you know, what can the consumer do? The consumer wants to not put up with terrible servers. They just don't know what the game is. Pro Evolution Soccer, perhaps, but you know, you lose all the licenses bar a few, and you know, you lose the people you were playing with. You know, if you play FIFA and your friends are all on FIFA, then what have you got? What can you do? Nothing. You've not got any friends to play with anymore. If you're, you know, if you want to play on as well, you've got to use the PES equivalent. And yeah, fine, maybe you might get into it, but then at the same time, maybe you'll miss the stuff that FIFA has. And that's what happens when you have a capitalist model. One company can just buy up everything and demand or miss out on the product. A good example is just the extortionate price of many of the players. Some of the players, I was quite lucky this year in that I managed to pack an icon, which is why I have such a good team. But people can pour thousands real life money into the game, knowing that eventually they may get someone, and subsequently have a much better team than everyone else, and thus have a higher chance of winning by paying more, essentially paying to win. Meanwhile, you know, you got someone who doesn't have been able to just pour money into the game, has to suddenly make their way up against in-game currency, and never reaches the level they could do with a good team. They can never get their favourite player because they've been, you know, priced out. And you might think it's just a small thing, but if you want to, like, you know, if you're good enough to play amongst the best, but you can't actually access the best players, that's not good, you know, making you happy.
Might get an update on that injury now from our man Jeff Shreves. Jeff.
I think also because of EA's sort of want for profit, lots of the game modes that are in the game often get neglected. Ultimate Team is the money maker, and it makes a lot of money. Tend to focus a lot on Ultimate Team, which means that modes like career mode and pro clubs and online friendlies, they all lose out because, you know, that money has been put into the mode that makes the money, microtransactions, and subsequently, you know, no opportunity for them to make additional money from the purchase of the game.
Too high. Yeah, unlucky. Give him another chance, I think.
And it's pretty sad, really, because there are some massive communities with the game. FIFA's a long-running series for, I think, 2 decades. Previous. And you see communities have been around for 20 plus years die out because EA don't care anymore because it doesn't make them any money. It's pretty sad. Like, these people have entire sort of periods of their life, and maybe in a fair world that would equate to something. That would mean, it should show these fans some loyalty and update their modes. But no, instead they pour their focus into a mode that makes them money with easy. People who can afford to pour thousands into the game, and I'm literally talking thousands, because there are some wealthy FIFA players out there. Meanwhile, the average consumer can't do a thing. Like, you want to play with Messi or Ronaldo, like, 2 staples of football, you're not going to get to play with them unless you're lucky. I'm lucky to have this team. Like, unless I sort of played a lot more, or bought FIFA points, I probably wouldn't have this team. I got lucky in that one of the packs I opened had a very valuable player in, but just as equally bad luck couldn't have been here. Currently is healthy at all, because it only is going to drive people away from the game that they would otherwise enjoy. And there's not even any real opportunity for anyone else to the ability to make a football game, because EA have all the licenses, and if they want the licenses off them and want to have the ability to do anything, they need a lot of money, because EA aren't going to go cheaply if they're going to lose these licenses. I think more worryingly, if a football game, if a studio in general, the amount of money it's costing these days to make one is obscene. I've used that word a lot, but it's just insane. No, I won't say insane. Ridiculous that it costs multi-millions to do something, thus pricing out anyone really who wants to make an independent football venture. Because where's the money going to come from? Where's the advertising going to come from? Where's the reviews going to come from? No one's going to know your name, because money is all you really need. I mean, yeah, you can make your beautiful game engine and your excellent physics and just a fun little game. It didn't cost you much, but then all of a sudden you got to somehow get that out ahead of the mobile marketing that is EA Sports. You're not going to compete. And that's sad, because football should be something that everyone has a shot at, and just as equally, football games should be something everyone should have a shot at, because you never know where the next innovation is going to come from. But all of a sudden, you don't need innovation to do well, because FIFA's been the same sort of thing with not maybe some changes, not massive changes, for years. EA Sports are wealthy and own everything, so what are you going to do? And it's the same with all their sort of, it's even worse in America, because you've got Madden, NBA. If EA own the licenses, so what are you going to do to compete against them? You can't just have a multi-billion corporation. It's the same with a lot of games. You look at the Battlefront games, there's loads of things that the fans of Star Wars Battlefront can tell you just don't make sense with their game. There's just so many elements of Battlefront that are missing from the proper experience to make the game better. And could it either do EA care? No, because you're going to buy Battlefront, not because people like and endorse the way EA are handling it, because if you don't buy the game, it's gone. You're not going to have a chance to play it, because there's no one else that's going to be able to provide you with it. And is that innovative? Is that allowing the fans and the people to make their own ideas? No, it's essentially saying, we have the money, we control your game, we control your product, you will pay us or you won't enjoy Battlefront. And the consumer loses out. People buying the games under this model. In a system that's fairer, where people had the opportunity to create, look at the decisions made by this entity and say, no, this is a really poor way of making a game. This is a really exploitative manner of operating your game company.
Keeper might be needed again. He didn't hang on to the ball.
You see developers saying, well, no, we don't want our decisions being made by a corporate team. We, the people who made the game, can have our own control over it because we're the workers who make the content. And even Mr. Big Bucks can get lost.
We've shouted goal plenty.
And for the consumer advocate, the creator all of a sudden doesn't need this massive like corporate backing to control, to fund their operation and thus control like massive parts of the development. And the consumer can have a more direct, we didn't, enjoy this element, is it please? And there can be a proper conversation instead of the consumer like sort of complaining and nothing being done, and instead of complaining towards the actual people that's behind the problem, the capitalist system, the mega wealthy backers, they target the developers. Now I'm going to play one more game because I think it's getting close to the cricket, and I want to watch it because I like my cricket. Funnily enough, I think if I do another one of these streams, I'll have to play my Don Bradman Cricket 2017 because it is quite a game. Do you like me some cricket? Last game of the evening then, 2 wins, 2 draws. Been good so far. Oh, and if you need to check the chat, don't I? Let's see what's being said. Anything? I don't think so. No, there's no one watching anymore. I'm all alone. Given this is going to be on my YouTube channel, I'm not sure who's going to be even enjoying this. Oh dear! Look at their team! Their lowest rated player is Kimmich, who I earlier said was world class. But there's what, 3 icons, 2... I don't even know, it's just, there's too many colours there. And now I sound like David Duke.
A draw.
Good grief, what is...
Win this one and get the 3.
Yeah, I mean, there were some positive aspects from that draw, but didn't take the chances when they came.
Well, I think my opponent is playing something through his mic. I need to mute him on a second. Unbelievable, yeah. Been... Con man. Oh, let me try and... Is there a way... No, I don't even know how to.
Great start for them. A wonderful goal. And we'll now have to see whether that will change both managers' approach to this game.
Oh.
He can't have scored many better than this. With the...
Has to be away. Oh. Of course, they're not going to turn off their sound. Jesus. But I might mute myself because it's just unbearable.
Now Willian. And here they are on the attack. Pirlo playing it. Kevin De Bruyne. Now. Oh, he's through. Saw the goal and went for it. The ball's loose. Goalkeeper made the save, but he couldn't hold it. And this is going to be a throw. Roberto Carlos. Petit. Now De Bruyne. Stopped emphatically and just as well. The approach play
still going on, I see. Jesus. I'm gonna... Oh, I apologise.
Go for that yellow card
here. Viewer.
Free kick.
Let me try and work this out. Actually, if I make a party, there we go. Right, okay. Controls, invite only. There we go. Right, sound averted. Tech genius. McDonald, that's what I know.
Just a mistake, really. He's not even asked too much of the opponent. It's just a
play a sound now, Seaberg.
Overmars.
that commotion, he managed to concede a goal. Not for long though. Eden Hazard.
It's got to be. He's had a go here. It's come off the goalkeeper, still in play.
Got to be scoring then.
And shoots. Well hit and well saved. It will be a corner. Put in by De Bruyne. Good defensive clearance there. Now Overmars.
Oh no, that might be a red. That might be off.
The referee's penalised that
yellow.
one.
Desert.
Well, the player's not happy about the yellow card.
That's what I wanted to mention actually.
For him, of course, for the rest of the game now.
Mesut Ozil, great player. One of the best of his era, I'd say. Played for World Cup winning side. Just one of the best players you'll see. Really. An amazing playmaker. Just really crucial to the side he's in. I suppose. And a Muslim, yeah. Mesut Ozil is a Muslim. You wouldn't think so though, because you're a lot of people associate Muslims with just brown people from the Middle East. But no, Muslims, it turns out, are quite widely spread. Ozil's family are originally from Turkey, and obviously they moved to Germany before Ozil was born. But the fact that someone like Ozil, such a pioneer sort of his trade, can be Muslim and many other Muslims, sort of shows that there's more to Muslims than what am I even saying? Essentially, the Muslims position is what I'm trying to say. Not doing a great job of it because my mouth is a bit hoarse. Coming out of racist taste. Oh, and it was million.
Well, if they keep creating chances, I'm sure they'll take one. That was a decent effort,
Harry Kane is
I hope this is all
away from 50 for his club.
Yeah, and I think he'd get a fantastic round of applause off this crowd if he reached that milestone.
As Kane coming on strong and looking to play their way through now. Quick-witted.
Oh, come on.
In his movement too to intercept there. Andrea Pirlo. Bit of space to go forward and was able to intervene. Hazard.
To become Muslims. I'm not religious myself, but just some of the stuff that gets said about them is ridiculous. And on that topic, Harry Kane in the net, 1-1. Another equaliser. Yeah, Muslims they face so much crap from people in society, and some of it, is justified. There's a lot of regimes in the Middle East which are pretty horrific. But then you look at just what people say about them, and how they're these gay-hating, evil people. People who say this are own views, and it's quite similar. Like, you look at you look at their supposedly anti views of Muslims, but then you look at the people who say this, and from what they're called, the quote skeptic crowd, who then go on to say, don't Muslims want you dead, trans people? And it's a bit ridiculous. You've just sort of shown that you're not too dissimilar from the stereotype you've created. You're always saying, women is by all Muslims, and then all of a sudden the Republican Party saying this, or the Republicans saying this, want women's autonomy curtailed by wanting abortion lifted and stuff. They don't want abortions to be a thing. It's absurd to see sort of double standard that Muslims have to face a lot of the time. And it's quite boring, especially as someone who knows from their experiences at university and can first-hand tell you that it's all nonsense, that Muslims, just like anyone else, are just normal people facing the day-to-day struggles of life. When terror attacks happen, they affect Muslims just as much as everyone else. And in fact, in Muslim cities, in Muslim nations, they get targeted more than ever, because Muslims that don't conform to terrorist version of Islam, their corrupted version of Islam, get treated perhaps worse. You just have to look at some of the attacks in Yemen and Syria, and it's just horrific stuff. So to pretend as though like Muslims aren't the West is, I think, kind of insulting to the people who are dead in the Middle East because of the same attacks that we have in our own countries, and that Muslims are a part of our own countries because, you know, there's no, we don't, there's freedom. We need to realise that Muslims are just as human as us, and just grouping them all together is quite insulting.
In this attack, and it looks dangerous.
That was a poor touch, Hazard. And amongst all that talk, I am now a goal behind.
And we've got another 45 minutes to go, and set your watches, off we go.
Oh, what was that?
Here's Willian.
Nice, put him through. Yes, come on, Hazard. Finish it, finish it. Yeah, oh no.
Very well to be off his line, and he saved it. No doubt that's a corner. Aguero! Saved by Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Ozil.
Why would it lag now? Come on. Lag? Or would it halt and freeze up? Then like, oh, I lost connection. Of course. About poor internet. So that means there's no result. I'm honest, my voice is getting a bit hoarse, so I think I'm going to end the stream in a second. Thank you to anyone who watched this at any point, and if you do end up watching this on YouTube, thank you for that as well, because, you know, that's much appreciated. But no, this is it's been fun actually. It's been nice streaming and knowing this will be, you know, on like a record. I'll be able to watch my own footage back and sort of see how I play. So there's a tactical element to it as well, believe it or not. But no, it's been fun. Thank you for watching, and maybe I'll do another one of these, and it'll be a different game. Maybe you can put in the comments what game you want me to play. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and see you.